Paradoxical, a race for Parando's paradox, a tech deck game. This is a play guide video that will go in depth into how to play and set up the game. Introduction. Paradoxes. Paradoxes are captivating logical mysteries that have inexplicable or contradictory aspects. Paradoxes are contradictions that seem contradictory but are nonetheless true. It derives from the Greek words para, meaning distinct from, and doxa, meaning our opinion. In 1961, logician philosopher William Van Orman Quine outlined three categories of paradoxes. A falsidical paradox is a surprising, but is a false alarm if the underlying fallacy is solved. They seem false and are false. Zeno's paradox is an example where it is an infinite series that converges to a finite number. A vertical paradox resolves itself if we ponder the proof. They seem absurd and have an explanation. For example, the Monty Hall game show problem. An antinomy paradox is an incompatibility of two laws creating a crisis in thought. For example, the grandfather paradox, liar's paradox, the faint sun, young sun paradox, where our young sun was 70% as bright as it was, and the earth should have had all of its water frozen, but it wasn't. Philosopher Immanuel Kant defined four antinomies. There are four interesting game theory paradoxes. Brace's paradox looks at a network of roads where introducing a new road should reduce travel time, but instead it paradoxically increases travel time. The Monty Hall problem is a game show problem where there's one major prize and two minor prizes, and the game show host it shows the contestant a door and what's behind that door and asks them if they'd like to switch to a different door from their original choice. In Selton's chain store paradox, a chain store goes up against a local competitor. And Parando's paradox, where two losing strategies can produce a winning strategy. Parando's paradox was discovered by Spanish physicist Juan Parando in 1996. It described a paradoxical situation where two losing strategies, when combined, can become a winning strategy. It has found applications in engineering, population dynamics, ecology, and financial risk. Explanation examples typically involve weighted coins that individually flipped only yield losing results, however when combined can produce a winning strategy. This tactic game explores Parando's paradox. In Paradoxical, players juggle losing strategies to find a winning combination. Players try to uncover paradoxes through playing combinations of cards from two decks that on their own have only losing strategies, and each turn players take actions to try to discover a Parando's paradox from the decks of cards that individually would produce strictly losing outcomes, but when combined allows for the possibility of a winning strategy. Paradoxical is a tableau builder genre game where tableau builders have an objective that the players each try to develop their own board or sandbox. The player tableau usually contains game elements that are manipulated to win the game. It provides options for the players to explore during gameplay. Typically, the gameplay of a tableau builder provides game elements and game operations that allow a player to build or evolve their tableau. Examples of tableau building games are Deus Ecos, The First Continent, Valeria, Card Kingdoms, Imperial Settlers, Through the Ages, Everdell, Terraforming Mars, Wingspan, Seven Wonders, Glory to Rome, Castles of Burgundy, Suburbia, Res Arcana, Space Base, and Race for the Galaxy. Setup and objective. Paradoxical is the embodiment of a game theory mystery called Parando's paradox, which claims that two losing strategies when combined in a particular fashion or even randomly can create a winning strategy. In Paradoxical, players race to discover two Parando paradoxes. Players are presented with one of two losing strategies to select from, and they must deduce a winning strategy. Clever use of tech deck card effects can give a player the narrow advantage they need to reveal a Parando paradox. The objective of the game is to discover two paradoxes. A paradox is made of set and non-set cards, such that the sum value of the set cards exceeds the sum value of the non-set cards. The game ends when one player has discovered two Parando paradoxes, and they win immediately. The game setup. Here we see a diagram of the game setup. Each player has a 10-card tableau that starts with no cards in it. You'll form two decks. One deck has all the knowledge and science cards, and the other deck has all the technology and service cards, and you'll expel the wild cards. Each deck will have a discard pile, and there's also an indifferent card pool, none of which start with any cards in it at the start of the game. Gameplay. On their turn, a player takes one of four actions. They build a tableau, claim a paradox, use a card effect, add to their tableau, and then afterwards play passes to the person on the left. A player reveals a card from either deck and places it face up into their tableau to build their tableau. A player can build a tableau up to 10 cards. If their tableau is full, the player must first discard a card from it into the appropriate discard pile. In order to claim a paradox, the paradox must be valid. A paradox is either 8 or 10 cards made from cards that are face up in their tableau. A paradox is composed of set cards and an equivalent number of indifferent cards. The set cards are composed of either two pairs, a pair and triple, a full house, or a straight, a sequence of cards. The indifferent cards can be of any value and domain. A two-pair paradox. This is an 8-card paradox that's made up of a set of two pairs and four indifferent cards. Each card in each pair must be from a different deck. The sum value of the set cards must be higher than the sum value of the indifferent cards. A full house paradox. This is a 10-card paradox that's comprised of 5 set cards, one pair and a triple, and 5 accompanying indifferent cards. Each card in the pair must be from a different deck. The sum value of the set cards must exceed the sum value of the indifferent cards. Put in another way, if the set cards pair and triple had positive values and the indifferent cards had negative values, the total sum value of all those cards must be positive. A straight or sequence paradox. This is a 10-card paradox that has 5 set cards that form a numerical sequence, for example, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 5 indifferent cards accompany the set cards, and the cards in the sequence must be from different decks. The sum value of the set cards, sequence cards, must exceed the sum value of the indifferent cards. To claim a paradox, you'll identify to the other players that you have a valid paradox, and then the indifferent cards of the paradox are placed to the side of the play area and become neutral cards that can be affected and used by card effects. Note, the indifferent card pool can only hold 5 cards. If it exceeds 5 cards, you'll discard cards from the indifferent card pool until there are only 5 cards left. If a player claimed a 10-card paradox, in other words, a full house or straight, they draw 3 cards and put up to 2 cards from their hand into their tableau immediately. You'll give a player a token denoting they've claimed a paradox, and if this is the second paradox they've claimed, they immediately win the game. Another action that a player can take is to use a card effect. To use a card effect from a card, you can do it from your hand or a card in your tableau. To play a card effect from your hand, you'll reveal the card, use its effect, and return it to your hand. The game effect of a card in your tableau can only be used once until a paradox is claimed. It can be used again when you're working towards a new paradox. However, that card may still also be used to claim a paradox. If a game effect references a deck or discard, you can choose which deck to use or which discard pile to use. If a game effect refers to a neutral card, there are cards in the indifferent card pool resulting from set-aside indifferent cards of a claimed paradox. And note again, the indifferent card pool has a 5-card limit. Your hand size, maximum hand size, is also 5. And another action you can take is to add to your tableau. You'll play a card from your hand into your tableau. A player tableau can hold 10 cards. If your tableau is full, the player must first discard a card into the appropriate discard pile. Note, players start the game with no cards in their hand, but they can get cards via tech deck game effects. Here we see an example valid paradox. This is a full house paradox. We see that the full house is comprised of a pair of 2s and a triple of 12s. Note that each card in the pair of 2s come from 2 different decks. The 2 of knowledge comes from deck 1, the 2 of technology comes from deck 2. And the triple of the full house must necessarily be from 2 different decks. The indifferent cards that accompany the set can be of any value and any domain. Here we see the 7 of knowledge, 3 of science, 6 of knowledge, 10 of science, and 7 of service. Again, they can be from any deck and any value, so long as there's 5 cards, the same number of cards that form the set cards. Next, we look at the value. The sum value of the set cards is 40, and that's greater than the sum value of the indifferent cards, which is 33. For a paradox to be valid, the sum value of the set cards must be greater than the sum value of the indifferent cards. You'll Note to the other players that you have a valid paradox and that your action you're taking is to claim a paradox. And after you claim a paradox, you're going to take the set cards of the paradox and discard them into their respective discard piles. So for example, we see the 2 of knowledge and the 12 of science going into deck 1's discard. We see the 2 of technology, 12 of technology, and 12 of service going to the deck 2 discard. And the other 5 cards that were the accompanying and different cards of the paradox are set aside face up to the side of the play area and put into the indifferent card pool. And they can now be used and are considered neutral cards for game effect purposes. So where is the paradox? And why is the paradoxes that are used in Paradoxical paradoxes? Well, if you consider and take the sum of all of the cards in a deck of cards and divide by 52, you'll find out that the average value of a card is 7. So the average set value of a paradox with 2 pairs, 4 cards, is 4 times 7 or 28, and there will be an equal number of indifferent cards that accompany the set cards, and their average values will also be 4 times 7 or 28. And if you have the set cards be positive and the indifferent cards be negative, that total sum will be 0. So in order for a paradox to be valid in Paradoxical, the sum of the set cards must be greater than the sum of the indifferent cards. However, on average, the sum of those should always be 0. Note that drawing cards from either only deck 1 or only deck 2 is a strictly losing strategy because you can't form a valid paradoxical pair or a full house or a sequence using cards from only a deck 1 or deck 2. The end of the game. The game ends when one player has discovered 2 paradoxes, and the victory goes to the player who has discovered 2 paradoxes. Tech deck and introduction and tech deck concepts. The tech deck modernizes playing cards. It brings them into the 21st century. You can use it for any classic card game. Unique card game effects create interesting interactions and provide replayability. It's versatile. The small form factor is easy to carry wherever you are, whomever you're with. Whenever you like, you can enjoy gaming. Games long and short, casual and serious. The Tech Deck is a game platform you can play many games with. They'll appeal to many different audiences, speaking to hardcore gamers, non-gamers, party settings, and family settings. Paradoxical is the 16th game to enter into the Tech Deck family, and many of the Tech Deck games explore different genres of gaming. Tech Grid Poker is two-dimensional poker with card abilities. Tech City of Cards is a semi-cooperative tile-laying genre game. It's a city-building game. Tech Exchange explores the real-time genre of gaming. Tech Chess is a strategy genre game and is a chess variant with chess where the pieces have abilities. You can upgrade and build them. Gears of Industry explores the personalized genre of gaming, and it's a customized head-to-head card game. Elevator Pitch is a party genre game. It's an idea generation tool and spontaneous creative party game. Cardle is head-to-head code breaking and explores the deduction and puzzle genre of gaming. Chronological Movement Through Time is an educational history-based family and party game. Peer-to-Peer explores the cooperative genre of gaming and deck building genre of gaming. Cardoku is head-to-head Sudoku and is a puzzle-solving game. Newsworthy, a conversational game, has players search the internet as a source of conversation. Card Barrage is a dexterity tower defense game that explores the dexterity, kinetic-based games, and tower defense genre of games. Prisoner's Trilemma, game theory in action, uses game theories with payout matrices. Tricks of the Trade is a negotiation and trick-taking game. Host a Heist Dinner Party. Players plan a heist and crack a safe over the course of a dinner. Explores the host a dinner party genre of games. And of course, Paradoxical, a Race for Parando's Paradox, is a tableau building genre game. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful and gives you a sense of how to play Paradoxical, a Race for Parando's Paradox. Be sure to check out all the other tech deck videos on YouTube, and you can go to my homepage where you can download the rules and explore further. Thank you.